how many people go into care homes every year in the UK? The answer is 50,000.
Right now, a subject many of us will have experienced firsthand, and if you haven't, well, you probably will do at some point down the line, and that's going to be putting a loved one into a care home. Now, 6 million of us already act as carers for a parent, a partner, son or daughter, looking after them at home as best we can. And that number is set to double over the next 40 years as our population ages. They do, you do, an incredible job, not just looking after ailing loved ones 24/7, but also, let's be honest about it, you're saving the health service billions of pounds. But then for many, there'll come a point when home care and love are simply not enough. What then? Well, every year some 50,000 people are placed in residential care. The main reason given by relatives is that it will be better for their dependents' health and well-being. They can receive specialist care that simply can't be provided at home. And yet, there is still a massive stigma attached to putting someone in a home, a stigma which makes the whole process, coming to the decision, breaking the news to your loved one, the day of the move, and the months, years of guilt that follow, so much more challenging. And guilt, according to the Relatives and Residents Association, a charity that supports care home residents, their family and friends, is the real problem here. And as I mentioned earlier, I can remember my mum literally tearing herself apart after putting my frail nan into residential care. And I don't think those feelings have ever gone away. You feel you've let them down, that you've abandoned them, that you've somehow failed them. You worry how others may judge you. And for husbands and wives forced to put their significant other into care, there's also the loss of intimacy, not to mention an underlying fear that they probably won't be treated as well in the home as they could be at your house. Now, John, as you mentioned, this is a decision you had to take last year. Can I ask you about the guilt, first of all?
I don't even use the word, I call it the G word, because it's just on my shoulder every hour
all the time,
of every day and every night, and will be with me until the day I die. I've been counselled on how to handle it. I've received wonderful advice which has helped a lot. I've been told time and time and time again, do not feel guilty. That, to hear, is wonderful. Doesn't help. You will always, always feel guilty about it.
Can we go back a bit? So, how do you know? I mean, this is a really facile question. How do you know when
You don't. You don't. On your own, you don't. I cling to the fact that I was advised by 4 professionals, 2 Admiral nurses who are specially trained mental health nurses, my GP and a psychiatrist who assessed Bon. All 4 said to me last summer, the time is now right. I fought all 4 of them, and Ian, my Admiral nurse who helped me over the worst time after the diagnosis, said to me that someone is ready for care much sooner than the carer believes, because the carer struggles on, makes allowances, does the best he or she can. And he said it is very important not to wait until there's a crisis. There will be one. If you wait till there's a crisis, you're into crisis management, a sudden phone call for help. That's not good for the person with dementia. It's not good for the professionals who are going to be looking after them. So he said now, when Bonnie is nice and stable and seemingly content and relaxed, now is the time to do it. And 3 other professionals said the same thing.
In the book, you say that when you finally get her into the home, one of the first things they say to you is, you should have done this 6 months ago, which you say was incredibly helpful.
Yes, it wasn't... Louise, who runs the floor where Bon is now, didn't say you should have done. She said you could have.
Right.
She telephoned me 48 hours after Bon went in and said, I believed that Bonnie was ready, but I want you to know you could have done this 6 months earlier and it still would have been the right time. And to hear that lifted an enormous strain off my shoulders.
What are the other issues you feel? I mean, I'm thinking that putting a parent into care is easier to deal with than putting a partner into care.
Yes, and I would like to say, and I'm sorry if this sounds sexist, but women are much better carers naturally than men. You can argue with me, but I believe that to be the case. Because of this, women struggle on longer than male carers do. And they will say of their husband, for instance, don't worry about him, he's gone a bit balmy, but I'll look after him, I'll do it for you. But what they don't realise is that this could well be dementia. This could be a disease. And because they don't seek help and they don't report it, they don't go to the medics for the tests, something like more than 50% of dementia cases go unreported. That is why there are hundreds of thousands more people with dementia than we believe, than the statistics show, and a lot of them are men because their wives struggle on. And that is a tragedy.
Can I ask you, and this is deeply, deeply personal, but how do you see your relationship? Do you still have a relationship?
Yes, of course. She's my wife. I adore her. She greets me. She knows my name. Everybody assumes that this wretched disease takes a preordained path. So I'm always being asked, when did it start? Does she still recognise you? Everybody with dementia is on a different journey. I'm now heavily involved with my charity, Dementia UK, who train and provide Admiral nurses. They've taught me so much about dementia. No one is on the same journey.
Everybody's experience is different.
Absolutely. Someone can die with dementia, and to the day they die, you don't know they've got it because their behaviour is so totally normal. Bon recognises me. I saw her the day before yesterday. There you are again. I've been waiting for you. She said she get tears of happiness in her eyes, which the knowledge that she is content saves me, and yet it breaks me up at the same time. And one of the things about dementia is there are always two sides to every emotion. You can't be happy without being sad. You can't be sad without being happy. It's awful.
It's incredibly cruel, isn't it? Now, the issue is putting people in a home. Have either of you two ever had to do this, or? Yeah.
Well, I haven't, no, but I had a discussion, of course, with my family about my mum, but I'm not ready to face that, actually, at the moment, because for me, she's, like, bright, she's alive, she's 69, she's fantastic, and I don't really want to have to think about it. But my brother-in-law was actually saying we really must start thinking about it because she does live alone in an isolated place, and wouldn't it be better if she was living with one of us? But then, of course, the argument ensues who is going to be looking after her and who's going to be taken care of, because she doesn't want to. She has adamantly said she does not want to go into a home, and she wants to be just put in a bungalow or something at the back of in someone's backyard. And she'd be very happy with my sister Sue's place because it's got a swimming pool, and she'd be very happy.
I'll be quite happy there as well, by the way. Yeah.
But I did have a friend who decided to. His name's Robert, and he lives in Australia. Well, lived in Australia. He decided to look after his mother, who had Alzheimer's, and she was absolutely vile and completely unpleasant to him the whole time that he was looking after her. While he was during the course of that, he was looking after her. She was being vile. He got cancer of the esophagus. He didn't tell her that he was seriously ill and dying, and because he didn't want to upset her or her to know. But she was so vile to him, he was just getting more and more upset, and I'm sure that sort of didn't help his plight.
I'm sure it
didn't. And only literally 6 months ago, he died, and she's still alive, and he died hating her. He died absolutely loathing her, which I thought was just so sad. If he had have made the decision to put her in a home,
it would have been.
It would have been a very different and a much more pleasant, I think, sort of thing.